Knock, knock, Puddin'. Say hello to your new, improved Harley Quinn.
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta,
where we love a Super Bowl of chicken tortilla soup,
it's the 9 billion names of pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm calling for Virginia Governor Ralph Northam to resign immediately.
Agreed. So let's talk about some stuff.
Grr.
Yeah, as of this recording, it is...
During this recording,
evidently, you carry on.
Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, that's a bit to get your mouth around. Hey, Northam, is taking questions and answers about, for those who don't know, apparently when he was not in high school, no, not in college, in medical college at the age of 25. Apparently they do yearbooks in certain colleges.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And there's a page for him that has a bunch of pictures, you know, from his scholastic year there or whatever. One of them is a picture of two people, one in blackface, one in a Klansman robe. And at first, he said, I apologize for being in the picture. And now he's come out and said, upon reflection, that couldn't have been me. And I did not purchase a copy of the yearbook. I had no idea that that was designed in my name. And, you know, I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. That's just me by default. But in this case, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
You can't.
And also, in this press conference, he admitted to going to a dance after having darkened his skin. Notice he didn't use the word blackface. He just said darkened your skin. Unless he sat under a tanning lamp for 8 hours before the dance.
And when was this? Because, I mean, it's not like he...
This is 84.
I was going to say, he didn't go to medical school in 1953.
Right. This is the same year that Michael Jackson was one of the biggest entertainers, that, God help him, Bill Cosby, had the biggest TV show.
Yeah.
It's not as if the culture was, yes, we don't like black people. No.
Yeah, this wasn't segregationist.
Right. This isn't, you know, pre-civil rights movement. This is, you know, lingering vestiges of racism.
Yeah, in the modern era.
You know. I mean, 84. Most of us listening to this were alive for that. Some of us were even, you know, conscious of
things.
Yeah. Of, you know, culture. And I'm all for forgiveness. I'm all for rehabilitation, but it can't happen in office. So
yeah,
he needs to go. You know, don't spit on him in the street. Look at him with an arched eyebrow and go, kid, you fucked up when you were 25. But you know, he's been quote unquote good on race issues since then, as far as I have, you know, been able to look into. But you know, something like this is pretty bad.
You have to step down, unfortunately.
You have to. Yeah,
well, not unfortunately. You just have to.
Well, and the great thing about one of the positive things out of this is that the Democrats have not rallied behind him.
Good.
They have not. They've said, no, you need to go. The only two people that haven't said anything are the two senators from his state. I don't know if they have been withholding until this press conference.
Yeah, they're probably weighing their options.
They're playing the political game because everyone else can mouth off and say whatever they want.
Right,
but these are people from the state of Virginia. They have to,
they have to be very, very careful.
They have to be careful politically
because they don't want to go down with him, is what it is.
Exactly. Well, if they don't want to go down with him, they probably need to speak up pretty quickly because if he resigned today, they wouldn't have necessarily had to have spoken up. Although you need to, you know, in my opinion.
One way or the other, you got to say something.
And from what I understand, this picture was found by, wait for it, Republican operatives.
Okay.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. But you know what? Hey,
that's
rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the way it works.
Fine, you know, find the racism wherever you can, and depending on the degree of it, if he said an errant word, I mean, Jesse Jackson called New York Hymietown at one point.
Right.
And,
I remember that. I was in
you were in New York
Hymietown at that point.
And, he was able to somewhat come back from that. So there's degrees of,
But you said something before off air that was poignant, which is we have to call out our own.
We have to, because if we don't, how can we expect to have the moral authority to say Republicans, hey, and speaking of
the
which,
right thing to do.
And guess who's being touted out as, on the other side, Stephen King. Calves the size of cantaloupes. He's a white supremacist.
Yeah.
And the Republicans, we took appropriate action. Oh yeah, what was that? We removed him of his committee assignments. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you cup his balls on the way out the door of the committee room? Come on. So, we have to be absolutely correct in this so that we have the moral authority to call out the bullshit on the other side.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can come right back and go, well, what
you did nothing about
what
it.
about Northam? You didn't do anything about that? Yeah. No, everybody. Oh, well, okay.
Well, it's what happened. I mean, we do it. That's where it all falls down.
Well, it's whataboutism.
Yeah.
Oh, well, sure. Oh, sure.
But I mean, we get screwed on that deal because it's like the Al Franken thing. Al Franken got kind of railroaded. I mean, to a degree. I don't. The one picture was obviously staged, and he was a comedian at the time.
Right. And he was not touching her. He was hovering over, but still insensitive. She was asleep, not cool. Whether he should have been, whether he should have resigned. You know what? To be on the safe side, yeah,
and
probably.
He did. That's the problem.
And that's the thing
is we will do that, or our side will do that, and
the
other side.
And that's the thing that Bill Maher keeps going on about. It's like, you know what? When we do the tiniest little thing, we fall on our swords and we go away. Where the Republicans say, screw you, we're staying in. And that's why, they win a lot of races more than Democrats do.
Yeah.
And, there's a point to be made about that. And I guess you have to decide which sword you're going to fall on.
Right.
All I'm saying is that in this case, fall on that sword.
No, this is not this is not a small thing.
If for no other reason, the lieutenant governor of Virginia is a Democrat, is a man of color, and he is ready to be governor. This isn't like in a weird situation where the governor of one party and the lieutenant governor is of another party. That can happen because they do run separately. They don't run on most of the time,
right.
If one party wins the governorship, lieutenant governor falls in line. Yeah. But it's not impossible. In this case, it's not going to be a horrible political hit to the Democrats. Now, keeping this in mind, if this was a senator and we were at 51-49, and if we were in the majority, and if we had to drum out one of our own, that would kick it to 50-50 with Trump in office. That would mean Mike Pence would be the tie-breaking vote. That would shift control of the Senate. Could we fall on our sword then? Oh.
Well, let's hopefully not have to make that choice.
It's so... Why do people have to be assholes?
Yeah. And again, this is breaking as we are recording, and this is Sunday.
Well, it broke yesterday.
But I mean,
the press conference is happening behind my shoulder.
Right. We'll put this episode out on Tuesday morning, so a whole bunch of stuff may have happened. So
hopefully he will have resigned by then.
Hopefully then, yeah. So we don't know, so if we're hopelessly out of date, that's why.
I'm hoping that by the time this episode comes out, the blowback from the rest of the Democratic Party will be like, dude, no way forward.
Right.
And I'm looking for he doesn't plan to resign today, so I'm looking for, I didn't look up who the senators were. I think is it Tim Kaine and somebody else? I can't remember.
I don't know.
The two senators from Virginia. I want to hear from them, and if they don't say resign, that's going to be bad.
All right. Well, we will.
But hey, is this a podcast about politics or nerd stuff?
Nerd stuff.
Nerd stuff.
Nerd stuff. So, very, very interesting week in nerd stuff.
Okay, hit me with the nerd stuff.
Well, I had noticed over the last, I don't know, 2 months or so, we've been saying
A disturbance in the force?
not really. No, actually, a like radio silence from from WB and DC as to the future of their films, because
Their films or their
films. Their films. Yeah, because it's been like,
because we know the TV shows got renewed.
which one's all the CW stuff?
All the stuff.
Oh yeah, doesn't surprise me.
You're talking about the
It's
film
huge stuff.
Are you talking about Snyder's trilogy announcement?
Well, no. I'm talking about. Well, no. I'm talking about since before Aquaman came out, it's been like, well, we might be doing this, but we're not doing. And they've just been sitting quiet and like,
whereas Marvel has the next 25 years
because
mapped out.
They're set. They know what they're doing.
Right.
Whereas they were like, I think they were just sitting there, watching the box office, going, if this tanks, we're done. We're done. We gotta.
Well, we got Wonder Woman, and we might take another crack at Justice League or Superman.
Well, they had Wonder Woman, they had Shazam, and
well, that's already already happening.
That's already happening, and the woefully ill-advised Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, which we'll get into another
Hey, you know
time.
what? If you can reboot Batman every 5 minutes, which they're going to again.
Well, that's my point. That's my point. Ever since, what are we, 3 weeks in since Aquaman dropped?
Yeah,
it's been #1 for most of that time. It's made a good amount of money.
It's $1 billion plus.
It's $1 billion plus, and for them, I guarantee they were just sitting in the office going, please, 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 please. And finally, this week, a whole bunch of forward momentum from DC.
You know why Aquaman did so well?
Why?
Shirtless Jason Momoa.
Well, yeah. Why? Yeah. Hey, if that's what it takes,
the ladies can only watch a few episodes of Game of Thrones so often before they gotta get something fresh.
And I gotta say, Stephen Amell, who plays Arrow, he's a good-looking man, but he still can't compete with Momoa.
No.
Like,
what is 6'7", 300 pounds, and
just
looks,
all muscle and
just looks
tattooed.
Like,
yeah.
He looks like a Norse god, an aqua god, or whatever god.
Yeah, he's a Polynesian.
He could be Thor. Well, no, he couldn't be Thor. Well, I guess if he dyed his hair, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
That's supposed to be
but
anyway, go.
So what I was going to say is,
yes.
So this week, not only did production start, but they've already dropped images from the forthcoming Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn film. They have dropped a whole bunch, like, character pictures, and they're filming, and it's like, it is a go. They're doing it, and it's actually happening.
They looked at their bank account and go, "Oh, thank God! All right, I guess we can do these." films now.
I guarantee they were all sitting like perched, waiting. If this fails, we're done. We're pulling the plug on all this stuff. But it was like, oh, go, 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 go. They like this movie.
Now, yeah, they need to be careful. Liking this movie doesn't mean any other movies are going to be any good at all.
No, it doesn't. But at least they have the capital and the momentum to do to justify doing another movie.
Aquaman has momentum. DC has plausibility.
Right.
Like, okay, apparently you've learned how to crack the code on how to make a superhero film that people either don't hate or don't go, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
And they
Harley Quinn will now be underwater.
Yes, of course. Yes, riding sharks.
Well, of course.
So they and that's the thing. They've got to dig out of the Suicide Squad hole. They got to hope that people don't remember it. But I've seen the stills, and they put out a little tease of basically they almost look like costume tests, and it's just a little like tease trailer of. It's not even like a trailer. It was just the costumes of everybody in bits and pieces, so you see a little
basically
bit of
they're previewing the DVD extras,
more or less. And literally, it was pictures of Margot Robbie. It was pictures of Ewan McGregor is playing Black Mask, which is kind of cool. That's pretty cool. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is playing Huntress, which is cool. I like her in kind of everything. I forget who else is in the movie. Somebody's playing Victor Zsasz. And
Victor Zsasz.
Yeah, the guy who cuts himself. He's got scars all over his body for every murder he's committed. So he's a freaking lunatic. And at the end, it was just like, I think she blows a kiss to the screen and it says, "See you soon." So it's like, okay, we're doing that.
All right.
We're doing it. And
hey, maybe they're trying to tap into that. hey, we're doing a superhero film. It's light. It's fun. We're going to kick some ass. Kind of Marvel-ish.
Kind of.
You know,
Yeah.
We're not going to be dark and brooding and make you want to slit your wrist at the end of the,
And
the
also,
credits.
I think they realized most people kind of didn't like Suicide Squad, but they liked Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. And Harley Quinn is still an enormously popular character for WB, for DC. And so they're like, we still have to do something with this. And
while you still have Margot Robbie under contract or willing to do it.
Right. And she wanted to. I think she's an exec producer on this, which is cool that she's taking ownership of it.
And sometimes that's what you need to do to get the stars to, I think the reason why we have True Detective Season 3, which we will talk about, is because McConaughey and Harrelson are on as executive producers.
Oh, okay.
So they're lending some of their oomph to it.
Good.
So,
it looks like in the comics, Harley, they realized how popular she was, so she became less of a lackey to the Joker and became a spotlight character and more kind of anti-hero-ish. She's still crazy, but they've given her actual depth, and she's had some really interesting storylines
and a bit of agency.
Yeah, a total agency. Yeah, like now she's got at least 2 comics of her own, and she's still.
Oh, you're talking about in the comics?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
I'm talking about her bit of agency in Suicide Squad. She loved. What was her nickname for him?
Oh, Mr. J. Puddin'.
My puddin', yeah. I love my puddin', but I'm going to do some other stuff. So
right, and that was one of the only things I liked about the extended cut of that movie, because she actually did have a little bit of agency with him, where, he was totally in her head, but when she jumped into the chemicals. He didn't push her. He didn't. It wasn't because of him. He just was like, put it out there. It's like, well, we're up here, and what are you gonna do? And I remember she had she made the choice. So it was like, okay, and she dove in, and he dove in after. So I think they're going to make her more of a hero-ish character in this. She'll still be crazy, and she'll be
a little more Loki-ish, like
yes,
crazy. Mostly kind of evil, but you never know. You might be surprised. She might actually do something decent for a change.
And in the comics, forgive the turn of phrase, but she does divorce herself from the Joker in that wow, this guy's crazy, and I guess I'm not as crazy as I thought I was. And I'm hoping, and that's what it's seeming to be like, because there's no mention of him at all in this.
As this Joker, Joaquin Phoenix Joker film they're talking about, are they going to have Harley Quinn, or is this a pre-Harley Quinn Joker film?
This is supposedly either a standalone or a prequel or an origin story. I don't know.
See, we don't want an origin story of the Joker.
No.
The Joker is, that's the whole allure of the Joker. He just came out, he just shows up, and he is fucking nuts. Like, what happened to him?
Yeah.
You don't know.
The only good origin story of the Joker is there's a book, I don't think it's by Alan Moore, called The Killing Joke. And in it is a Joker origin story.
Oh.
But at the very end, him and Batman are going back and forth, and they're just talking like people. And it's really interesting. And the Joker says, he kind of finishes that story and says something to the effect of, yes, but I've had so many beginnings. I don't know if that's true or not, or if I made that up.
Okay.
And it's great.
So
I love that.
So it allows you to tell a Joker origin story and then go, or maybe not.
Or maybe not. That's exactly the end of the book. It's
so
like,
you were entertained, but don't take that as gospel.
Right. Again.
And that lends itself to the Joker's psychology perfectly.
Right. I remember when
like in Dark Knight.
Exactly.
You know how I got these scars?
The first time he said that,
3 or 4 stories.
The first time he said that, I was very angry. When I was watching that movie, I was like, we don't need that. And then the second time when he told that it was different, I almost threw my hands in the air like, yes!
They listen. They understand the source material.
I was like, okay, well done. Well done.
Yeah, well, Batman, Joker, Superman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman are pretty name recognizable superheroes, and aside from Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they've kind of wasted them.
Right.
The DC
and
movie.
I think they're conscious of that and are like, we can't screw up Harley Quinn. If we have a very big opportunity because she's popular. B, it's a female character, which we are lacking sorely in the
apparently
films.
Chicks are actually compelling draws at the box office.
And
whoever would have guessed?
And women read comic books and go to the movies. What? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking very much forward to that. I think we're probably a year and a half away from anything concrete, but
you know what? For these superhero films, it could be 6 to 8 weeks of filming and then a year plus of post production.
Unless they go, I mean, hopefully they won't go crazy CG big thing at the end.
I mean, no. I'm done with CGI monsters.
Yeah,
I'm done.
I'm so tired of it.
I'm done with it. Make it another super person who is evil.
Yeah,
or make it like the humans are rebelling against the supers and anything but that.
Right.
Anything but the CGI.
Well,
monster.
and if it's Zsasz and Black Mask again, they're in the classic Batman villain realm of they don't have any powers. They're just gangsters. Zsasz,
kind of like Lex Luthor.
Exactly.
All he has is his wealth and his evil ingenuity to do up this or do up that to fight against superpowers.
Yeah, Black Mask is a guy named, depending on which book you read, I think it's Roman Sionis, and he wears a big metal skull mask, and he's in a white suit.
Is the skull mask black?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How'd you guess?
I took a wild stab. I was going to go with fuchsia, but then I thought, no.
And it all adds up. If you have Black Mask, not a superhero, Victor Zsasz, who's just his assassin cutting man, also no powers. Harley, no powers. Huntress, not really powers, just trained like Batman. And there's a Black Canary who does have powers. She has the canary cry.
What's canary power? Please tell me. I don't know.
She can project her voice like a sonic blast kind of thing.
Ah, okay. Because I'm trying to think. I don't think too many powers can be attributed to a canary.
Yeah, it's the canary cry, so she can like blow out windows with her voice and stuff, depending on which one they do. And so have a little bit of meta humans in there, which is fine. But again, we don't need a big giant CG event at the end that it's it shouldn't be the end of the world. It should be these people fighting.
I mean, augment your series with CGI to give it a little boost. But as far as a big, no. I mean, by default, you had to do a shit ton of CGI in Aquaman, just by the nature of that animal ain't going to do that for you,
right?
So you need to do
half the movie's fucking underwater, and you can't really do that.
I would like to see what they did to make it look so realistic. Because, I mean, obviously,
it was phenomenal.
Take sound out of the picture. Obviously, we know that if you say something underwater, sound will travel, but it's not like you can speak like you hear in Aquaman.
No.
Independent of that, I want to see how they got. I mean, the hair was flowing. The thing,
a lot of CGI. I think is just what it is.
Did they CGI? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm waiting to see.
It was good. It was good. It's almost like they used the same kind of technology they used for the. What was she like? The not the Oracle, but in 300, when they the female that was just kind of flowing in the air.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what her name. Oracle is all I can think of right now. But you know what I'm talking about. That kind of technology.
Yeah, and that was 12, 14 years ago anyway. 300.
No.
Something like that.
We're so old. It's so sad. All the things that when I was a kid, like, oh my God, that was 20 years ago. That was forever. Now I'm like going, that was fucking yesterday.
Yeah. So anyway, also forward movement is it is finally official. Ben Affleck is out. And we have a release date where they're finally going to make that fucking movie. They're going to make The Batman. It's coming out in 2021. Matt Reeves is directing. And that's the thing.
Who's going to be their Batman?
They have not.
I'm wondering, because originally he was going to direct. He was going to act.
Yep.
And in between that announcement and present day, he has gone to rehab. and he dropped out of directing the last thing he appeared in.
Okay.
Justice League. Was it just no? Not just Justice League. He didn't direct that originally.
No.
Originally, I believe he was supposed to, because this was like part of the thing. All right, I'll be Batman, but I'm going to direct.
No, he was supposed to direct the standalone Batman movie. That was always kind of. I think that was the.
Was that the one?
I think that was the deal that they were supposed to entice him with. Like, we want to be Batman, and we'll give you a movie to direct and write and do it. And to in his defense, I mean, that was like 6.5 years ago, something like that. And I don't blame him for being like, are we ever going to make this fucking movie? You know, and the other two didn't go well, and you know, I'm just going to walk away.
Right. And of course, the rehab issue.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
And I don't know what he was rehabbing from. I'm going to guess alcohol.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know, and really, I don't need to know.
No, and I hope he gets better.
I hope he gets better. I mean, not a big fan of his work on the whole, but he has done a few decent acting turns and some very good directing turns. So he's got some chops.
Just again, didn't hate him as. I mean, I was against it at the beginning, but I didn't hate his Batman. I thought it was okay.
It was fine.
He was just underserved, and they didn't have it nailed right. And
wow, it's almost as if the writing is important. I don't know.
Yeah, no, Zack Snyder was the behind that. And and things came to light about the Justice League trilogy that was supposed to be.
Yeah, Zack Snyder wanted once to do a Justice League trilogy. I can't imagine that happening now.
Well, Kevin Smith actually on one of his recent podcasts,
he's the one that leaked it.
He kind of just blurted it out, and I could tell from what they cobbled together from Justice League for the Justice League movie of kind of where they were going, and I was kind of close. Where Steppenwolf, I was like, he's a big powerful thing, but he's not the big bad. He is not he's kind of the herald of Darkseid, and that was going to be the whole thing. Was
Steppenwolf 2 and Darkseid 3?
Steppenwolf wasn't going to get defeated. He was going to go back to the planet Apocalypse through those things were called boom tubes, and Darkseid was
Isn't the boom tube what Jonah gets taken up to the satellite of love in the MST3K reboot? Have you seen any of those?
It's been a while. Yeah, no, I only saw the first one.
It grew on me.
Yeah,
but I digress.
And Darkseid, like, they were going to basically open a portal, and Darkseid was going to see Earth and the Justice League, and that was going to be the end of it. And then the next movie was, I forget what he said. It was something like that. And then the third movie is the whole hellscape dream that Batman had in the first movie, where he was shooting people and he had the trench coat on and all that, and that was where it was going to end up, and they had to subvert that or fix it or whatever the hell. And that's what the whole Flash going back through time in Justice. So it just fell apart. And then it was like, well, we can't do that. We just got to make it one movie. So we'll get rid of all that and we'll make an ending. And that's why it fell apart, because it wasn't supposed to be a movie.
And now Superman's a zombie. We have to remember that.
Yeah.
He saves the world so he can eat its flesh.
Eat its brains. Also, this week, well, going back to Batman, there is no casting at all yet. All
right, let's do the thing that nerds do.
Okay.
Who could be Batman that you could come up with?
I have my vote. See, the problem is they say they're going younger. And
how young?
I don't know. Not young, younger. So it's not going to be the pushing 50. I'm thinking mid 30s. But I know who I would pick right today to put on the suit.
Today?
Today.
Okay, then it's not the kid from Gotham.
No. That's a whole other thing.
He needs to wait about 10 to 15 years before he's even plausible as a Batman.
Right, for sure.
And who knows?
To start working out now and never stop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No carbs for the next 15
and
years.
They got to actually train him the same. They got to send him to Tibet. My vote would be John Hamm.
Oh,
I think he would be. First of all, he'd be a perfect Bruce Wayne, and Batman is.
Well, let's face it. His character,
exactly.
His character on Mad Men is essentially Bruce Wayne with not quite as much money.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The
And
one
now,
I'm against.
Now I think John Hamm, he's probably in his early 40s now.
if not, yeah, he's real close to that on either end of it, either side of it. So,
In fact, I'm almost positive he's older than Affleck is now.
I think Affleck's pushing 50 at this point.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, John Hamm's probably 40, 41, something like that.
If only there was a God box that we could look up to find out how old people were.
Right.
Back in the old days. That's why they had the Guinness Book of World Records, because they'd have to go to the book. Now it's like, how many people have heard of the Guinness Book of World Records anymore? Nobody, because they don't need to. They just go to the internets.
Right.
Let's see. Holy crap! No, John Hamm is 47.
Wow.
So not too shabby. So
And-
yeah. So he is pushing 50.
And you were right. Affleck is 46.
I was right by a year,
Yeah.
and depending on when their birthdays are, by months.
But still, I thought he was
And
a bit younger.
do you think actors that are a certain age could play an age different than they actually are? No. Okay.
He has
well,
to actually be a superhero to play.
Oh, yes. So who are you? I have no thoughts on the matter. I mean, other than your suggestion, yeah, Ham could be good. What are you against?
The one name that keeps getting bandied about and has been for a while that I just cannot see and would be very, very disappointed is everyone keeps talking about Jake Gyllenhaal. And I'm like, no, he's not.
He's got the build for it, but
He's just not that guy.
no. Now, granted, I have not seen enough of his stuff where he may be a bit darker to say that he could play that. But then again, 10 things I hate about you becomes the Joker in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
That was some ridiculous dumbass fluff.
True.
Was it A Knight's Tale?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And then so don't knock him.
You're right.
He
You're
definitely
right.
has the acting chops.
And again, I was 100% against Affleck for the same reason. So, and I recanted because he did a good job.
Right.
So,
yeah, it just doesn't. His voice doesn't feel right.
No.
His I don't know.
he's just not the right type, I don't think. I mean, he's a fine actor, but he's not that guy. He's not even black hair. He's not. I don't know. It just doesn't resonate for me.
I hear Carrot Top's available.
That's a little farther out. He would be a good Joker, probably, other than being like crazy swole now. But
Yeah, he's like,
yeah.
talk about working out solidly for 15 years.
Yeah.
He looks like it. I'm like, were you getting beaten up by other comics?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
'Cause, well, no one really took him seriously. I
Right.
mean, he's kind of a joke. But I mean, I've seen a little clips of him back in the day on Comedy
He's a
Central,
fucking gazillionaire
and it's like
at this point.
he's funny enough.
Yeah.
He's not funny in the same way that, for lack of a better, Louis C.K. Although,
Or your Carlins, or your
he's
your
not
word
that.
comics.
There's
Jim Gaffigan.
You mean there's different kind of comics?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So the other big news is, and I think this is, I've heard varying reports about this.
come to the 9 billion names of pod to get all your half rumors and semi truths.
All your specious information.
It's like we're the Trump administration. I've been hearing. People have been saying. So I'm going to report it as true. Go ahead. What have you been hearing, President Bauman?
One form or another,
Yeah.
either animated or live action. They're also kicking around a Batman Beyond film. Now, did you ever watch any Batman Beyond? No. Okay. Batman Beyond was a cartoon in, again, early 90s, I want to say. And what it was 25 years in the quote-unquote the future from, like, the Justice League and all that stuff.
So Batman's now like pushing 70.
Bruce is like 70, 75, something like that.
Wow.
And the first episode is him, and he's got this crazy new high-tech suit that's all black and it's got a red thing, and
a red
bat
logo?
on it. Yeah, it's a really cool suit. It's all black and it's like crazy, super high-tech.
Does it have nipples?
Doesn't have nipples.
All right,
it has
I'm in.
wings.
All right.
And he can fly,
All right.
like thrusters and stuff. And the first
Well, it is the future, so
right.
Yeah,
And
all
the first episode, he is going to save some woman who's been kidnapped, and he's losing it. He's losing his edge, and he's getting, like, a guy is bearing down on him, and there's a gun on the ground, and he picks it up and he points it at the guy, shaking, and the guy drops the gun and runs away, and he looks at it and he throws it on the ground, and then he goes back to the Batcave, puts the suit away, and says, "Never again. I'm done." And
that's episode 1.
That's episode 1. That is the beginning of episode 1.
Okay, because one thing we pretty much know about Batman, he don't do guns.
Exactly, and he got to that point where he couldn't.
And he's not wearing hockey pads.
He's not wearing hockey pads. And so the story is about a kid named Terry McGinnis who, through a bunch of circumstances, figures out that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Is his nickname Robin?
No, it's not.
Okay.
And he steals the suit and basically becomes the new Batman with Bruce in the Batcave in his head.
So he becomes the Alfred
Exactly.
/ Mission Control.
And it is a really, really, really good series. They did it really well, and it was Kevin Conroy as Bruce. It was Will Friedle from Boy Meets World, of all things, as Terry McGinnis, and he was great. And Lauren Tom was in it, and a bunch of the voice actors from that era. It was still an Andrea Romano thing. It was Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, and they did 4 seasons of it, I want to say, and it was really, really well done. They did a movie called Return of the Joker with Mark Hamill, but they're going to do something with it coming up, and they're doing, if it's animated, I hope it's Will Friedle, and I hope it's
so it's going to be a Batman Beyond project.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but if it's live action, the thing everyone keeps saying, check this out.
For who?
They say it's going to be a younger Asian actor playing Terry McGinnis, which makes sense. That fits perfectly.
Yeah, no problem.
I hope they somehow get Will Friedle in there, maybe as Nightwing, as Bruce Wayne, as Dick Grayson or something. But the thing everyone keeps saying,
is it Hamill?
No.
Oh,
who would play Bruce?
Okay. For the live action.
Yeah, think about it.
An older.
Who could play?
Oh, Keaton?
Michael Keaton. This is all fan casting, but how amazing would that be to get him as the grizzled old angry Bruce sitting in the Batcave? It would be fucking amazing.
I could go for that.
100%.
Or we could go with the old fat Batman in the cave and get Val Kilmer to do it. Or we could get the "Why aren't you still out there doing it, Batman?" and get George Clooney.
Yeah.
It's like, he's probably in his mid-50s, but I think he could still be just fine.
Right.
Batman-ing it up.
So that's what's been going on.
Wow.
Nerdy. Yeah. I said I've been realizing lately that, man, WB and DC have been real quiet at the end of last year, because they didn't know what the fuck Aquaman was going to do. And once
everything was waiting on
everything
Aquaman.
was everything, I swear. And once it actually was a hit, they said, okay, go.
It's almost as if we mortgage the house, Aunt May.
It's exactly
we
what
mortgage
it is.
the house. If this movie is a flop, we lose the house and it's over.
Yeah, exactly. That's
now
exactly.
they've
what it is.
paid off the mortgage and they're ready to buy
Yeah.
another mansion.
Yep, they're gonna flip another house. So.
They're gonna start- Well, they need to flip the House of L, is what they need to do.
Yes, they got to figure that shit out, because
I
I think he's out too. I think Cavill's done. One thing Momoa said, which was awesome. He said, because it's an inevitability at this point for Aquaman 2, he's like, I want Wonder Woman in that. I want Gal Gadot in that. And I was like, that's fucking genius. Absolutely have those two going, forget the rest of the league. Just have at least those two. Would be killer.
Well, it's not as if, those characters can only fight when they're all together.
Right.
I'm sure there are certain things like there's a problem somewhere. You know what? Let Aquaman and Wonder Woman handle that. They've got that.
Right.
We'll do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And they can even make a reference like, Bruce and Superman are off doing something else.
One of the greatest lines ever was in the Justice League cartoon, which was also great. It was done by the same people. And something was going on. Some event was happening,
Right.
and Martian Manhunter was in either the Watchtower or the Hall of Justice.
God,
and
give him a movie, please.
yeah.
Please.
And they were trying to gather League members, and he said something to the effect of, and Batman only said he was busy. Like, that's why he wouldn't show up.
Okay.
He would only say he was busy.
You know what? They could almost do they couldn't call it necessarily. Well, maybe they could call it Justice League and not have Batman in it.
Oh yeah.
Although, people would probably go, hey, come on.
They're the pillar of the league. I mean, it's the three.
You got to have your Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Right.
We could lose Cyborg. That'll be no problem.
Yeah,
But
he's
he's
in-
one of the few, African-American superheroes.
Yeah, and
Let's
I liked
give-
that guy. I
Let's
liked
give
Ray
him his
Fisher.
own standalone film that is so compelling that people like me, who right now don't give a fuck about the Cyborg character, goes, oh,
Yeah. Let that guy have his moment.
Well,
And-
they gave him his 30-second origin story in
which
Justice
was
League,
so bad.
which is like, this would have been better served if you had done it
Yeah,
as
and
a standalone or even just any other way.
and there's a ton more footage because a lot of it was in the trailers before they gutted the movie. You saw him as the football player. You saw him. There was a ton more Cyborg stuff, and I liked that guy's performance. Ray Fisher, I think his name was.
Is that it? Okay.
I think, and I really enjoyed him as Cyborg, and I was like, yeah, they gotta lean into the diversity. They gotta have more women characters. They gotta have more people of color and Asians and Latinos.
But people of color can't carry a superhero film. It just can't. Hold it. Wait, was there one?
best picture, baby.
Best picture nominee. Let's talk about that for a second.
Ooh,
I don't have them in front of me, but Oscars So White is not this year.
No, and it wasn't, and it's not even like, well, it's just because it was such a good movie. It was such a
Exactly.
great movie.
It's not like,
It
all
earned it.
right, we'll give them a nom so they don't cry about it.
No, that movie was
It's like,
fucking
no,
amazing.
It's also, Black Klansman got a nomination for Best Picture, and Spike Lee for
Finally.
Director for the first time ever.
Which is kind of insane.
Yeah, considering Do the Right Thing.
That alone,
That is as far as I'm concerned is his best.
Yeah.
Is his best picture. Black Klansman's a good, solid picture. I mean, one of the best ones of 2018. But Do the Right Thing. Hello.
yeah,
I mean, Public Enemy did a song for the soundtrack, and it was Fight the Power.
yeah.
You can't get better than that. So, and he also did the Malcolm X film,
Right.
which very politically charged in the 90s. I could understand why people were hurt, but it was a solid, it's a solid biopic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hot and cold on him personally at times. He's a bit,
Yeah,
and I don't blame him. He's a bit hard to take some time, but he's a phenomenal filmmaker, and he should be recognized for that. So I'm glad he's getting a nod. At
You know
least.
who should have been recognized?
Who?
Boots Riley. Sorry to disturb you.
Oh yes.
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's one of those films where you think it's one thing, and then all of a sudden it literally doesn't take a 90-degree turn. It turns into a 180, and you get the whiplash is so bad your head flies off your.
I'm looking forward to that one.
It is a great film.
Great.
And first time director. I understand. The rules of the Academy are not what's best this year. It's who is owed, what made the most box office. Let's put it this way. Black Panther got a nomination partially because this through the Academy because it made so much damn money.
Yeah, they couldn't ignore it.
They couldn't ignore it. Now there are certain other films that are in there because they are quality. They like their art house films and their biopics and stuff like that. The picture that is going to win for Best Picture is called Roma.
Is it? You think?
Yeah, and it will be a first. First, it's a Netflix film,
Really?
and it's a foreign language film.
Yeah.
It will win for Best Picture.
You think?
I can't imagine it not.
Okay, you heard it here first. We'll see. Maybe we'll do that on another episode coming up. We'll do predictions.
We'll do our predictions.
Yeah.
We'll do it back to back. We'll do our predictions, and then the next week we'll go.
There you go.
Yeah, well, we were wrong about this. We were right about that.
Because they always seem to pull a 180 on, or the one that always seems to not upset, but the surprise is always usually like supporting actress. They'll always give somebody, like, it won't be the front runner.
The one that I find surprising, and it's fairly consistent. How can you have a Best Picture
And not have the director.
would not have the Best Director, and in some cases, a Best Picture with not a Best Director nomination,
That's
let
what I
alone
mean.
a win?
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
But that problem has been forever.
Well,
it's
and
always
that's-
been.
And that's the thing. We're giving awards to art.
Yes.
So there's so much more going on than just the pure looking at the art itself.
Yes. Who was it? Billy Crystal said, while you sit and watch millionaires give each other's golden statues.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
Yes, I agree.
That's pretty much it.
It's completely ridiculous.
right. That said, the Oscars are the only award show that I actually watch live.
Right.
And one of the few that I even give a shit about, hey, you won a Golden Globe? Good for you. I could care less.
Yeah.
You know?
And Black Panther won the SAG Award, I want to say, for best ensemble, I believe.
All right. Well,
So
that's a little bit, because that's actors voting on actor, so
Right.
I'm like, all right.
Yes, that's even more legit than the
Right.
Oscars. to
Well,
be
from what I
honest.
understand, the way the Oscars rolls is that everyone gets to vote on Best Picture.
Yeah,
Actors get to vote on acting awards.
you just have to be part of the
right, exactly, just part of the Academy. So
and I mean, kind of it. Anybody who works in film almost
you can vote
is
on
part of the Academy,
right?
yeah.
But the person who who is an art director doesn't get to vote on who's best actor. It doesn't work. I don't believe it works that way.
I don't know.
Or vice versa. An actor doesn't get to vote on best direct. Otherwise it would just be a mess.
Yeah.
So the people that are in the know, that are in that portion of the industry,
Okay,
get
that
to
makes
vote on
sense.
that award.
That makes sense.
But everyone gets to vote on Best Picture.
Yeah.
So, and if only we knew people that were part of the Academy that got screeners, and we could see movies like Vice and other such films well in advance of their home video release. Wink.
Ah.
By the way, a certain member of our group who is such a person, who's currently in Tallahassee now with her boyfriend, and he's running a marathon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking
I do
about.
now, yeah.
This individual says Vice is a fucking brilliant, ungodly good film.
I've heard that.
And I don't hear massive praise, about any film out of this person.
True.
It's very seldom. This, I'm like, okay. So I am now second in line to borrow the screener.
It's got to be out soon, though. It's got to be.
Yeah,
out
it's
soon.
getting, well, I mean, Oscars are what, in March?
March.
So if you want to
Couple of
capitalize, first you want to capitalize on the nominations, and then capitalize on potentially a win.
Yeah.
So you need to have your home video release sometime February, March-ish or something like that.
Yeah, and the thing that always bugged me about all these things is, like, more so the Golden Globes, somewhat with the Academy Awards, but the movies that get nominated before they get released to the public, and it's mostly the Golden Globes.
Well, at least with the Oscars, what happens is they put it in limited release in later part of December, so they fall under the window.
No, I get that, but I mean,
Right.
there are some that, like, nominations are announced for movies that people haven't seen, like you and I haven't seen.
I don't.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, whether we have not seen them doesn't mean they're not out there. I mean, I'm pretty sure by the time the nominations are announced, they are in wide release at that point.
I don't know. It always feels like there's a few that are haven't been, or they're a week away and they've been nominated. Like, for
Well, I mean, I'm
release.
sure certain studios look at they look at, well, we were going to release this in, say, March, but we look at what the field's like and we think we have a good shot at an Oscar this year.
Yeah.
So to make the rules cut off, we're going to do a limited release in December so that we can get, which begs the question, what did Netflix do? I think they may have changed the rules.
They had to,
Because they were not theatrically
Well, it's funny. It's
displayed, as far
interesting.
as I know. Now maybe they said, you know what, we'll do a showing in L.A. and New York, just because. Bing, suddenly it qualifies.
Yeah,
but otherwise it's only available on Netflix.
Interesting.
So I have to look into. I'll look into that for our Oscar
How that goes.
broadcasts.
Speaking of movies that will not be nominated,
Oh, okay.
I recently saw Glass.
Oh yes. I have recently watched Split.
Okay.
Thanks to you. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, fine. You know,
That's kind of
Nothing-
how Glass was. I was very glad that he made it, because if you haven't seen Glass was a sequel to Split, and Split was a kind of undercover sequel to Unbreakable.
well, not a sequel at all. More we're in the same universe but you don't know we're in the same universe
Until
the very last
And
3
I
seconds.
am actually kind of upset that because I really enjoyed Unbreakable. I recently rewatched it, and it's a little precious. His camera work is a little too cheeky, and like he's trying real hard to be artsy. But I enjoyed that movie because that was early '90s when there was
A dearth.
there were no superhero movies at all, and I was like, what a great idea.
Well, we had the Batman movies, so you're right. There were no superhero films.
There were no, and it was such an interesting take to make, quote unquote real people superheroes and whatever.
Right.
And then Split came out a couple years ago, like 2 years ago, something like that. And people kept saying, is this a sequel to something? And I'm really upset that I didn't experience it. It was, a guy with multiple personalities who kidnaps women. I was like, I'm not a horror movie guy. But then at the very end, you see Bruce Willis as his character from Unbreakable, David Dunn. And I was like, wow. And going into it, knowing that, watching Split, I was like, oh, yeah, completely. I see it 100%. I see it the entire way through what he's doing. So Glass was the continuation of that universe, and enjoyable. Wasn't great.
All right. No spoilers. I still plan to see it.
No spoilers.
Not in the theater. But
Right,
I
no
still plan
spoilers.
on seeing it.
I enjoyed what he did with it because he brought those characters. James McAvoy is fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
Because,
everyone's saying is like, I hope he got at least as much money as Willis, if not more, because he is working his ass off in that film.
And the same as he did in Split. I mean, he's playing it's like 6 personalities, but he plays about 12 throughout.
Right, but
the
isn't
movie.
he in beast mode most of the time?
Not most of it.
Really? Okay.
No, he's in and out of a lot.
Okay, so
there's
basically
Hedwig
it's-
the Kid, there's Miss Patricia, there is the Beast, there is the OCD guy, and one other one that's like he goes back Barry, the homosexual.
Miss Patricia is just delightful.
Right, and they all are. Hedwig was great, and so he's jumping back and forth between those like seamlessly, and they affected the voice of the Beast a little in this, a little too much for my taste,
To make him a little more beastie.
a little bit, and it's like, come on, he was just let him act, he was doing fine, but it's not overt, it's not too bad.
Well, remember, in Split, we had the emergence of the Beast. The
Right.
Beast has had some time to kind of sit with himself, and maybe
Right.
his voice. I'm not, freaky enough. Let me just get a little more freaky.
Whatever it is, and
I'm going to kill you. Oh, look, you cut yourself. All right. Is your mother's name Martha? What? No.
No,
Okay,
no.
Bye.
And Bruce Willis is actually really good. He actually showed up to play. They say, because Kevin Smith will talk endlessly about how miserable he was.
Was it Cop Out?
Cop Out.
Yeah.
And another.
He's got acting skills. It just sometimes
They say though that what it is like, and I heard another podcast I listened to. That actor was in a movie with him, and they say if he's just there for the paycheck, he barely shows up and like is a pain in the ass and will not work and just does the barest of bare minimums.
Right.
And this one, he came to play. He was actually, he acted, and and they got the same actor who played his son to play his son.
Right. And the girl is back as well.
The girl is back from Split. Yeah. So it's well done for what it is.
Just not.
It just you could tell he didn't have a huge budget for it, and it's got little wobbly bits in here.
Well, let's face it. I mean, unless you're showing signs of massive destruction, it's really more a psychological than a physical thing anyway.
Right. There are a couple little effects here and there, but it doesn't.
I mean,
need
the
to
beast
be.
pulling the bars. Hell, I could. Rig that special.
Right,
effect.
we can do that on stage.
It's a practical thing.
Exactly,
So
and all the effects are pretty much practical, except for him, crawling on the walls and stuff. But
or not necessarily.
Yeah. True.
They've got those rooms that you can, at certain studios.
Right.
You got the room.
It's camera tricks.
They basically just they clear out the old stuff, they decorate it
on
the
a
way,
gimbal
and then they start twirling around, and you.
I think you'll enjoy it. I like I said, it's not the best movie in the world, but like Samuel L. Jackson, he's Mr. Glass again. And
now, normally I look for this in every Samuel Jackson film.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, I don't want him to do it. Say motherfucker.
I don't believe he does.
Good.
I don't think he did.
It doesn't. This is not a film where he's Samuel Jackson.
No.
This is a film where he is
playing
Mr.
Elijah
Glass.
Price, I want to say his name
Okay.
is. And he's back. He's in that role. And Willis is David Dunn, and McAvoy is all those people. And that the girl is okay. Her storyline is a little interesting for me. They brought the son back. So I enjoyed it, and I was glad that he did it. I don't think it was the best movie in the world, but I enjoyed it.
All right. Speaking of sequels not being the equal, have you ever watched any of True Detective?
I have not. It's on my list. We're trying to get through Game of Thrones at the moment.
All right,
catch
important because March, I believe,
Right.
March or April is when
It's April. I want to say 19th,
something like that.
Something like that.
You got to
And
get caught up by then.
We're
because
in,
people will be talking.
I know we're not gonna. I'm not gonna get behind on that. We are in near the end of season 6, so we've got 3 episodes or 2 episodes in season 6, and then in season 7, and then we'll be caught up.
All right,
so
good deal.
After that, I'm gonna do True Detective. After that, I'm gonna do. I want to catch up on Veep because that's all on HBO as well.
Yeah,
'Cause that's ending of that.
last season.
So
that one isn't necessarily timely in the sense that.
But I enjoy.
You want to get caught up, but they do digs at current events at the time that Veep was being done.
Right.
They parallel them just a little bit, so it helps to be up on
Yeah.
that. In the case of True Detective,
now
season 1 was a masterpiece.
Right.
This is the season with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. Unparalleled.
Yeah.
The second season just debuted recently. And it's with Mahershala.
Third season.
Oh no, there is no third season. Someone claims to have done True Detective season 2 a couple years back. Whatever that show was, it was a huge piece of shit.
It's like how they got those Star Wars movies wrong, where they started at 4 for some reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just. Let's address that for just a second. Yes, there was a True Detective season 2. If that had been the first season, it would have been just your standalone regular cop thing.
Mm-hmm.
Detective. Fine. Following, it's like following The Exorcist with Exorcist 2.
Yes.
It's like, wow. And then, what? Huh? Now,
In that same vein, Exorcist 3 is actually very, very good.
Exorcist 3 is quite good. In fact, I would say, for me, better than 1.
Great movie.
But
I don't like horror movies.
But only because I was not of age to have seen the original Exorcist.
Yeah.
So by the time I saw it, I had already experienced Hellraiser and Freddy, and that movie was just like, all right, whatever.
Right.
For what I understand, back in the day, people were vomiting, passing out, and leaving the theater because it was so traumatic.
I have a friend who's a huge horror fan. Said he could not finish that book. He said it scared him.
The book or the movie?
The book. He's like, the
Oh.
book. He said the book was so terrifying, I couldn't read it. I was like,
really?
well, I'm not even going to try.
All right, well, that's in my stack of books over there
Yeah.
for me to read. I think I may need to get.
Well,
to
that's
that.
why 3 was so good, because it was based on Legion. It was based on
Right.
Blatty's second book. But
And
carry on. True
it
Detective.
was good. 1 masterpiece. 2.
Now,
It's not this. It obviously it's an anthology series. It's not continuing season 1 and suddenly the continuation in season 2 sucked. It's a totally different storyline under the banner of True Detective with the same showrunner.
Right.
So it just wasn't. It wasn't.
Now, does HBO drop those one a week, or do they?
One a week.
Okay,
one a week. Yeah.
And
Well,
so
because they're a broadcast network,
true.
so they don't do the
Like Game of Thrones. What am I thinking? Okay,
exactly right. So they do. They do it once a week.
okay.
The new True Detective.
And we're in about how far in? At this point?
I think this Sunday will be 4.
Okay.
I
I thought it was something like that.
Something like that. And quite frankly, you could start season 3
And not watch
because 1 is completely of its own.
Got it.
Completely. As a matter of fact, it might almost be better because once you see 1, anything else will pale in comparison. However, I will say, season 3 takes some of the more mundane realism of season 2 and a little bit of the more surrealism of season 1 and puts them together as kind of a meditation on aging, on personal development, on the events of your past affecting your present and your future.
Okay.
It has a tone. The tone is very similar-ish to season 1. They've caught that back up again, where you're like, ooh. With season 2, you're just like, whatever. But this one, I'm invested.
Good, yeah.
It's good in its own way. It's not season 1 good, but it is nowhere near season 2 not good.
Got it.
It's decent. And
again,
potentially very, very good.
I was going to say, we're only a couple in at this point.
Right,
What do
right.
they do, about 10, 11? Something like that?
Yeah, it's usually 10, 12, or 13 are the standard
For something
episode
like
length.
that.
I think this will probably be a 10.
Okay.
Because. So that's what I have to say about that. True Detective season 3, really season 2. Season 3, that's a highly recommend.
Good.
Season 1, mandatory, but it's its own thing. So you can watch it tomorrow. You can watch it 10 years from now. It'll still be brilliant all on its own.
Basically.
There will be no sequel to season 1 because there's no more story to tell. They could try to wring some more out of it.
So it's a good 10-hour movie is basically.
Exactly.
What it is, yeah.
Which, great segue, which is what they have been telling us is going to be the new Picard series.
Yes.
It's not going to be, this week on the Enterprise or whatever thing they come up with. It's going to be.
I believe it's called Destiny is the name of the show.
Star Trek Destiny?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
I don't know if that's a fan-made thing that got traction, but there's a poster going around and it's him and it says Destiny. I don't know.
Well, it's almost as if people in their homes on their home computers could do just as quality graphics as the studios can do now. So I take that with a
there've been a couple,
grain of dilithium.
Yeah, there have been a couple of announcements about that, or at least like rumors about.
Well, the one that I've heard that it's definite is that it's going to be one story for 10 episodes.
Right.
So we're not going to get episodic stuff, which is good as long as the story is good. Remember that last Star Trek Next Generation film was abominable.
And what they're saying is what is thought to be the plot is that he's not Captain Picard anymore. He's not Admiral Picard. He's not anything. He's not Starfleet anymore. It's like where he's gone to now after all that.
Oh, this is after Starfleet.
After retirement.
Okay.
So, and I'm like, good. He's a strong enough character and a brilliant enough actor to make that compelling.
Of course. Of course. And we can't, I like how they gave in and let, Captain Kirk go from captain to admiral. But funny how he always ended up back in captain mode.
Right.
And it's like, it's not like they take the, the commandant of the police force of New York and say, get back on the street and find the clues. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. Once you get to a certain point, you don't do that.
Yes.
No matter how contrived a plot device you use to get him back there, it doesn't really happen in real life. There's always someone else that could do that job.
Right.
And that's one thing that's afforded to you once you rise through the ranks, that you don't have to do basically the shit snooping throughout the galaxy or to fight the, just saying. Obviously, Kirk was manly and awesome and fucked many, many green-skinned women. But at a certain point, you stay on Earth and you watch the viewer and
You move on.
And
yeah.
here's what's happening.
Right.
So the fact that, Picard is not still on the Enterprise, captaining around, is good, because he wouldn't be.
No.
Now, I would love to see some old friends show up, but as old friends.
And from what I understand, it is being directed by
Not Wesley Crusher.
No.
Not Will Wheaton.
No. Jonathan Frakes.
Well, he
is a director now.
He pretty much has. I think he's acted maybe a handful of times since the Star
maybe.
Trek. He's been full on directing
for 20 years.
And maybe, you know what? It's possible that he called up, "Hello, Jonathan. I've been offered this film. I'm thinking of doing it, but would you like to direct it? Good. I'll make that a requirement."
Yes.
And
and I'm sure, the Paramount people were like, how can we make this the best way we can? And that's perfect.
And of course, if nothing else, it makes the fanboys splooge all over the place.
So, I mean, that would almost guarantee at least a Riker scene. And and I would bet we get one, and that's about it from him.
Well, we don't need.
No, we don't need it.
Unless the story is intricately, if it was pitched to both of them as a Riker Picard duo thing, which I don't think that's what it is.
It's not at all. No.
Now, what I would like to see, I would like to see him end up with Beverly Crusher.
That would be really interesting if that's what happened. Yeah. That was always kind of like hinted at, like they had a thing or they had a mutual.
Like they were involved and then they got on the same ship and they tried not to.
Never really explained.
You never saw a walk of shame from either of them.
No, but there was definitely an attraction.
Right, exactly. So I would like to see them together. That would be lovely.
That would be lovely, yeah.
And I, just for the sake of him being able to say, shut up, Wesley.
I would love to see Will Wheaton come on and just redeem himself and just come on, do it like same thing, do a scene, and because he was in that, he got cut out of that awful last fucking Star Trek movie when they had the.
Thank God. Well, because people hated him, it became a thing that really. I mean, he was perfectly salvageable. He was okay.
He was an angsty teenager,
yeah,
and he was kind of he was whiny,
but because of the internet, that was just burgeoning around the time of that last film.
Exactly,
all the fanboys got together and said no to Will Wheaton, and then all of a sudden it became a thing. But he's redeemed himself to the fanboys.
No to Wesley Crusher. Will Wheaton became
no to Wesley Crusher. Will Wheaton has done very good stuff. He's a podcast guy.
A writer and a gamer and all that stuff.
And he's done many guest appearances on The Big Bang Theory.
And everything.
Which I hear is very popular.
Popular? Yeah.
Good?
That's all. That's up to you.
Well, hey, you know what? It's a series that got, I think, one of the very last appearances of Leonard Nimoy on film.
It wasn't on camera. It was a voice.
It was the voice. I'm sorry. As Tiny Spock.
But still, they got him out of retirement, or at least,
and
swerved out of the way of retirement for a moment.
And you got Starbuck in the bathtub with somebody.
They had Neil deGrasse Tyson. They had Mike Massimino, the astronaut. They had
Stephen Hawking.
I mean, they had a lot of people, and I think this season, I
think this is it.
This is the last season.
It's either this or the next one is the last.
It's the last one, and they're finally getting Shatner on. So, yeah, but that's a thing. That's a real deal.
All right, yeah, it's a thing. And of course, they live in Southern California, so they're right there at Comic-Con.
Right.
So they could, and of course, they're close to Hollywood and Comic-Con.
The funniest episode I saw of that show. It's fine. It's a good comedic.
Sitcom. It's a serviceable comedy.
There was an episode with James Earl Jones.
Yes. And
he was at a restaurant, and they kind of came up to him, and they were like, Mr. Jones, we don't mean to bother you. And he's like, so you're gonna come up to me, and you're gonna tell me, you're gonna interrupt my dinner, and you're gonna tell me you love Star Wars. Is that what you're gonna do? They said, yes. He goes, I love Star Wars too! And they go on this crazy bender, and the end of the episode is they go up to this house, and...
Oh, they doorbell ditch Carrie Fisher, don't they?
She comes out, James, God damn it! You know?
So, jeez. And that's, and I appreciate that.
See, yes, it's fine.
It's okay. One thing that's come up, I don't know what to think about it.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna have to get the CBS app.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're... Yeah.
Well, because it's two things now.
Two things, yes.
We already knew that they were rebooting the Twilight Zone with Jordan Peele.
3 then.
Well, the Picard thing.
Picard thing, for sure.
Picard on CBS. They're rebooting
Twilight Zone
with Jordan Peele as the, you know, entering the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, he signed on to
host.
Well, he signed on first to exec produce is what it was, and they needed a host, and he stepped up and said, "I'll do it."
Yep.
Like I'll go back on camera, and they were like, "Fuck yes!"
Hey, Forrest Whitaker can do it in the last one.
Right.
This is the 4th reboot of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
No, the 3rd reboot, 4 overall.
Right.
The original, we had the one in the 80s that Harlan Ellison worked on.
Right.
And then we had the one with Forrest Whitaker.
Yep.
And now we have the Jordan Peele one.
Yeah.
And it's not on broadcast TV. It's on the CBS app.
Yeah.
And I like the graphic. It's very interesting. It just says the Twilight Zone and has like shattered glass. And I went, am I going to watch Black Mirror Jr.? I mean, great if I am, because I'll take more Black Mirror any day.
I'm sure they're going to touch on that.
All I got to say is there is no reboot in history that requires quality writing more than the Twilight Zone, because the original is the gold standard.
Absolutely.
The best you can hope for is to hit bronze, because you'll never get up to the original. It's just not possible, because a lot of the things that they did on the original Twilight Zone were completely new then. Completely.
Right. And
now we've heard and seen almost all of it. Black Mirror has broken new ground, definitely in storytelling, because of the angle they take. So I'm sure there's new things to be done, and they're going to have to do it on that to make it worth anything. Because I remember watching at least the one with Forrest Whitaker and going, whatever.
Yeah,
you can only remake. They're going to remake some of the old ones, which, okay, as long as you're not doing a remake series,
do a spin on it.
If you do a remake of one of them under a modern context, all right, that might be a fun thing, a novelty episode.
Yeah, you can't do the twist ending as just as a gimmick. You have to write good stories to support that.
Right.
You know, that was why the Twilight Zone.
Oh my
was so
God.
good.
They were pig people the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
She's a giant and they're little astronauts from Earth.
Exactly.
You know,
featuring Agnes Moorehead, better known as Endora.
Yeah. Yes, Durwood.
Yes. So,
but the other thing coming
the
to
other thing, they finally have announced something that I've wanted for since birth almost. They're going to finally do a limited series. I should say miniseries, because miniseries is usually 2, 4, maybe 6 hours.
Yeah.
This is a limited series, 10 hours.
Okay.
They're going to do this.
Don't think it's enough.
Yeah.
But I'm with.
They're going to do The Stand.
Stephen King's The Stand, yes.
But they're doing it on CBS. Now, it's not broadcast. It's on the platform, but it's still CBS.
Are they,
Are they going to completely whitewash all the religious stuff? Because if they do, I'm fucking out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch it, of course, but I'll...
You'll hate it.
That's right. CBS would be like, you're going to watch it anyway.
Yeah, you paid your $10 or whatever.
Yeah. It's just... I don't think you can do it. I mean, 10 hours is better than 4 hours.
And it's not even that... Like, I don't know enough about the CBS stuff to know what their
limits are. In other words, I'll put it this way. In places where a story demands, boobs being shown, or the word motherfucker being said,
violence,
or whatever, or
blood.
violence, or a condemnation of Christianity, because that is the story that is being told.
Yeah.
Don't cut that out. Don't whitewash it. tell the fucking story the way it's supposed to be told.
Or let somebody else tell it.
Or, that's why I was hoping forever that it would be HBO, Showtime, Stars. I mean, even Amazon.
Yeah.
They do all the swearing and all the titties that are necessary.
Yep.
Even the Marvelous Miss Maisel has full upper frontal nudity in the first damn episode.
Huh. Okay.
Because it's necessary for that story. Has it had it since? No. Why? It's not necessary.
Right. But they were able to do that.
They were able to do that because they were on Amazon.
And CBS is not known for being edgy.
Well, just because they have a broadcast counterpart, I don't know. The CBS app is new enough to where I don't, and having not seen anything other than the first couple episodes of that Star Trek Discovery series, I don't know if they allow motherfucker and boobies and God's not great story content. If they do, great. Tell the stand, do it the right way.
Are they going to risk their fan base? Because their audience generally on the broadcast side skews way older.
Way old.
So are they going to risk that on the thing?
Well, that's the thing. The people that are old that are on the broadcast are not subscribing.
That's
to
what
the
I mean.
app.
Are they going to hope that the app is skewed much younger?
They know it is.
Right, but are they still going to risk that? Are they going to go against their brand? You know what I mean? It's a tough call.
Well, for me, it's not. It's tell the story the right way.
Right. But I mean, are they going to be the ones that tell the right way? So.
I don't know. Now, it has received an enthusiastic yes from Stephen King. This isn't like, he says, I've read the scripts. I like it.
Okay.
Because he notoriously, from what I understand, he don't write the scripts to the films that are done of his stuff.
No.
I wrote the story. I'm done with the story. It's over. You take it. And he's definitely had some things to say about certain other films, namely The Shining, of his work that he really hated. Apparently, this one, he likes the scripts. He's on board, which maybe he's contractually obligated to say for the money.
He doesn't need the money. That's the thing. So
no.
He would say, yeah, I think he
would, if he didn't like it, he'd stay silent.
You could tell he was kind of towing the party line when Dark Tower came out, because he was like, yeah, give it a chance. Don't judge it because it's only 90 minutes. But there was no endorsement. There was no
Yeah, give it a chance.
Give it a chance.
People who haven't read the books might actually enjoy it. If you've read the books, you're gonna want your money back.
Right.
So I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen until 2020.
Probably not.
So and especially if they do the stand the right way, they're gonna need a bit more time. I mean, if it doesn't happen until 2022, I'll be fine as long as they do it right.
Yeah. And from what I've gathered with those apps, because I've got the DC Universe app, I think with the content they are spacing it out because it's all brand new. Like, it's a brand new platform, and they don't want to, people like with the first series on the DC app was the Titans app, the Teen Titans Robin thing,
right.
And they put them out one a week. They didn't drop, because if you dropped 10 of them in a week, people would watch it in a weekend and be like, what else you got?
Unsubscribe.
Right,
exactly.
Boom. So and now the Doom Patrol show, their next show is coming out, and Titans ended in December, and in a couple of weeks, actually in February, the Doom Patrol. So that's 10 more weeks or 12 more weeks of content. So,
I don't know how they structure their subscription, whether you're on the DC thing, are you forced to subscribe a year in advance, or do you get a benefit financially?
You got a
benefit.
Doing so. That's what I did.
But you can, if you want to,
month to month. Yeah,
subscribe month to month.
Yeah,
there's some people, perhaps even like myself, of course now not because of the stand and stuff,
right? Where
you'll wait. All right, all those shows that I wanted, they're there. Great. Subscribe for a month, binge, unsubscribe.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what kind of a hit HBO is going to take in May. Or next year or June when Game of Thrones is done.
You know what? They were fine before.
Yes.
What kind of a hit are they going to take? Oh my God, The Sopranos is over. What? And then they do something else.
You're right.
So
they've already planned the next Game of Thrones series.
The next 19 Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they're not stupid. So
right. Well, maybe parsing out the last season. I find that that's what they're doing lately. They started that trend, I think, with Breaking Bad, where the last season going, and the last 6 episodes are going to be in a year. Like, mother, what the fuck? And
they don't want to burn it.
They did that. They did that with, if you look at the air dates for Sopranos, those weren't consistent. There were sometimes, I think we had 18 months between, between the last episode. And, okay. So, but I mean, HBO's been around forever. I know. They'll be fine.
But I mean, they're like Now apps and the Go apps. They'll drop for sure.
Because
people absolutely are signing up in April to start watching it. Stuff.
Oh yeah. And here's the thing. At a certain point, these cable packages that you subscribe to are going to be a little more bendable, flexible. Because as they lose subscribers, there's certain people that are like, I don't give a crap about anything on broadcast TV. And for me, there's still about a handful, but they'll end up on Hulu or something else later on anyway.
Oh, yeah.
For some people, they're just like, I don't even own cable. I don't do cable at all.
I wouldn't have it if I didn't already have it. It was because it was provided where I live. I wouldn't have it. I don't watch anything.
Well, if it wasn't for my addiction to cable news, which is in the moment, it's like I'm not going to go catch up on last season of
right.
Holy shit, this happened. News.
Doctor Who was like the only thing I watched on broadcast, or at least recorded from broadcast.
Broadcast?
Well, on BBC America, yeah.
Well, that's not broadcast. That's cable.
But I mean on cable, like on television,
on non-subscription.
Yes,
right. So. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where pretty much everything is subscription.
Oh, it'll all be apps. Everybody's coming. The Disney app is on its way.
App.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to get that Disney app, unfortunately, for The Mandalorian and for the Clone Wars and for all the Marvel stuff that's coming out. So
you're going to get apped to death.
To death, yeah.
I have held off on, well, really all the apps that are just app streaming services, but I'm going to have to bite the bullet on the CBS one because, God, Twilight Zone and Picard and The Stand. All right, you got me.
I think I'm going to stagger. Like 1 year I'll get DC and the next year I'll get Disney and then the year after, I'll rotate. I can't afford all of those all the time,
Yeah, that's a lot. Now the latest entity that is going to be offering their own streaming app, trying to take away that little bit of the market away from the other networks and stuff. You're familiar with the Kroger shopping chain? Where you get groceries?
Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
Apparently, Kroger is going to start offering
medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Roner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices Howard and Fine. I can't wait for the scene where he goes, "Make it so," and he's actually sewing because he's retired. Our intro music is written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube. Stream on Spotify. Listen on SoundCloud. Stream us on Stitcher. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter or email us. commonlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
Hello, Z.
Audio Primate.